All right, here we go. Let's go over the review real quick. I'm going to go ahead and tell you some of the answers. Actually, probably all of them. Help you out, but here's the deal. I'm going to tell you these answers, but you're going to still have to write them or type them on your document. The document you created yesterday. And you're still going to have to turn it in. So if you don't do it, with me even sitting here giving you the answers, you will get a 0, and you probably won't be successful on the test. All right, number 1, triumvirate. What is it, or what it is, and who was involved in it? The first one, it is a group of 3 powerful leaders. The first 3, or the first triumvirate, consisted of Caesar, Crassus, and Pompey. Pax Romana. It is a time of peace and prosperity where economics were very prosperous during this time. It lasted 207 years. It ended with the death of Marcus Aurelius, Aurelius. Breads and circuses, practices of the Roman government during the period of the empire. It was giving away free entertainment such as gladiator fights, all those different kinds of fights, even chariot races. And it was also giving free grain to the masses so that they were distracted from all the problems happening within the empire. Paterfamilias, or paterfamilia, distracted. Squirrel. Anyway, that stands for father of the family. By law and custom, the eldest man had the power to rule the family. Gladiators. They were professional fighters that were sometimes slaves and sometimes free men looking for glory. They had all kinds of, they even had groupies, they even had posters placed throughout the entire empire of them. 3 important principles of Roman law, there's actually 5. Equal treatment, innocent until proven guilty. Any law that seemed unreasonable could be put aside. The burden of proof rested with the accuser rather than the accused, and the person should only be punished for the actions of that person, not the thoughts of that person. 12 tables, they were the first written law codes of Rome. It established the idea that all free citizens, both patricians and plebeians, had the right to protection of the law. Noumena is the early on in Rome, they were the powerful and divine forces that early Romans worshipped. How many miles? Next one, number 9. How many miles in the borders of Rome? There are 10,000 of them. Number 10, Augustus. Who was he? He was the most powerful ruler of ancient Rome from 63 BC to 14 AD. He's also known as Octavian. He kept the title of Imperator, or Supreme Military Commander. That's where we get the word emperor from. How long did a dictator rule in times of crisis? 6 months. 3 reasons behind the collapse of Rome. Make sure you get this one. Internal problems, separation of Western Empire from the wealthier Eastern Empire, and outside invasion. Quick note on that one. Remember, the Western Empire was the one that really collapsed, started to fall apart, as the Eastern Empire gained wealth and knowledge and all those things. And we'll get to that later. Stoicism. Stoicism encouraged virtue, duty, moderation, and endurance. The main Roman god was Jupiter. The Senate is known as, what it's made up of is aristocratic Roman government groups, both a legislative group and an administrative group. It functioned both in the empire and during the Republic. Greco-Roman culture. It's the blending of Hellenistic, Roman, and Greek cultures. And then the next slide is where it starts. How did Caesar plan on helping the poor? What he was going to do, What he was going to do was grant Roman citizenship to many people in the provinces. He expanded the Senate number from 300 to more. I can't remember how many more. He created jobs through construction of new public buildings. Next one, 3 things Diocletian did to try to save the empire. He governed as an absolute ruler, divided the empire into east and west, had an assistant work with him. I think this is still working. Yeah. Had an assistant work with him basically to help him out. Inflation. It's a drastic drop in the value of money. Patricians, the basic definition, they were aristocratic landowners, meaning they were almost like royalty, who held most of the power in Rome. Plebeians, they were the common people, the common folks, the farmers, the artisans, the merchants. They made up the majority of Roman population. Privileges of boys in Rome, they had the right to vote, right to be in the military, right to an education. Privileges of girls, I took that question out, so don't worry about it. The main cause of the Germanic invasions were the movement of the Huns into parts of Europe. They started to, we'll get to the Huns later, but they were a very powerful force, fighting force moving into Europe, so they caused the Germanic people to start, they needed space because they were tired of getting invaded by them, so they went down to Rome. Three main early settlers of Rome were the Greeks, the Etruscans, and the Latins. Mosaics, they were pictures made by small pieces of glass or tile put together to create that picture. Bas relief is also known as low relief. It's where images are projecting from a flat background, almost like three-dimensional. Aqueducts, they were designed by the Roman engineers to bring fresh water into the cities and towns. The next slide, the most famous building in all of Rome, that is going to be the Colosseum, and a velarium is the retractable canvases or the awnings that they were able to pull back and forth. It's almost like literally like today's modern stadiums. They could pull those canvases out, and it would block the sun, block the rain from all the spectators. Silk Road is best known for trade, but it was also known for the selling of illegal goods for high profits. Gravitas is the Roman emphasis on how one should act. You should act with discipline, strength, loyalty. Thomas Jefferson in the Roman revival period, he began a Roman architectural revival in the 18th century. This is where, he started to push people building these things. Large buildings, capitals, large buildings, capitals, all these things considered, had Roman architectural features. Legends of the founding of Rome, Romulus and Remus, just remember that they were two brothers. Their mother was raped by Mars, and they were cast out into the ocean, and they were found by a she-wolf. They, fought over where to start Rome, and that's how we get Rome, because Romulus killed his brother Remus. The economy of Rome was based on these two things, trade and agriculture. What rights were conquered people guaranteed when conquered in the Roman territories? They were usually given all rights associated with Roman citizenship, except they could not have the right to vote. Next slide, last slide. In order to help with these threats to the empire, invading threats, how was Rome solving these things? Rome recruited mercenaries or soldiers for hire. Punic Wars, Hannibal, he's one of the best generals in all of military history. He had 50,000 troops, 9,000 cavalry, and 60 war elephants with him, and he went across the Swiss Alps to get to Rome. Devastated Rome throughout, the entire history of the Punic Wars. He was only involved in the Second Punic War. How many wars were there? There were 3. Carthage was the most powerful city at the time in the Mediterranean, so they controlled the western half of the Mediterranean. Rome controlled the eastern half. It was only natural that these two were coming to war, so they went to war over control of the Mediterranean. Changes in the character in the army led to a rise of political powerful leaders. That's the answer. Attila the Hun was the first chieftain of the Huns. He terrorized both the east and western empires of Rome. A Roman legion is 5,000 heavily armored foot soldiers. Strength of the legion in the battle was its flexibility. Changes in the character of the army. This is not one that's on this slide, but you need to make sure you do it. Changes in the character of the army led to the rise of political powerful generals, and people started to become more loyal to the generals than to the empire. All right, so type these up. Keep hitting rewind if you need to, and good luck. See ya.